All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Spar Scene MMA show. We're going to recap the UFC Fight Night, Fiziev versus Gamrot. We're here with you guys kind of early this morning, like 9:15 a.m. We got a busy schedule ahead of us today, so we're going to get this wrapped up early on a Sunday morning. So we have some good fights on this card. Alex, you want to kick it off with the main event?
So this whole evening was kind of like I felt a little bit like I got honey dicked here, folks, because the whole card was enjoyable, but it was all built off the promise of this main event. It's like, okay, well, I got that one to look forward to. At least that one's going to be a banger. It's super relevant. 155 is the best weight class. All this stuff. You'll notice like lightweight is like the drama weight class right now. It has been for a while. And watching that fight, it was exciting. It was starting to really heat up. Somewhere around the first round, I think defending a scramble, defending a takedown. I think Fiziev started the injury. Something happened to tweak that knee, and then finally, when he uncorked that kick, smashed right into the elbow, right into the guard of Gamrot, and at that moment, it had some ligament damage. Now, it's unfortunate because he was looking good, and honestly, if he could keep up that level of takedown defense, it might have been an interesting fight leading into the late, especially the championship rounds. That's where I think it would have been an interesting thing to see if he could survive. That injury, if it's an ACL or something in the knee, like a ligament tear, who knows how long it'd be. I had an ACL tear myself. It probably out. I wasn't able to really be full contact for, I would say, safely for a year. But then again, an athlete like Fiziev, dude is jacked. He's out of control, and God knows what they're going to do. I mean, a lot of people nowadays take themselves out of the USADA testing pool so they can, do some extracurricular Mexican supplements to get yourself back on the road. I have no doubt that's a little bit of what Connor had to do. Anderson Silva had to do the same thing to regrow strength in his leg. Clearly, you're going to do some perhaps HGH, maybe some TRT, stuff like that to help you with the recovery process. So who knows? We could see maybe 6 to 9 months, something like that. Tony Ferguson came back way quicker. I don't know. What do you guys think?
There's a guy on Twitter, or X now. He's a doctor, and he goes over like the injuries for the UFC, and he said Fiziev clearly tore his ACL. He'll likely get ACL surgery and be out 9 to 12 months. So he said his knee basically slid out and back in when he was turning.
That's how you tore your ACL too, Alex? Just slapping leg kicks to the body?
Yeah, I was defending. I was, I checked a leg kick from Gamrot. Absolutely not.
That was a good fight though. I think Fiziev was winning the first round. But Gamrot, he's known as being a wrestler, a grappler, but he looked sharp on the feet, man. He was catching Fiziev with a few right hands. So although I think Fiziev had the first round slightly, but you never know with these judges nowadays. I think he had the first round, but it was going to be a close fight. It was still a toss-up in my opinion. So, I hate to see Gamrot win that way. He could have still won it if, Fiziev didn't get injured. So a lot of people are taking the credit away from him because of how it ended, but I still think he had a good shot, at possibly winning that fight.
Yeah, Gamrot's getting kind of lucky in some of these fights. He's got like those 2 split decisions. I think he has another win over like an injury like that. So I don't want to take away from him, but it is, I guess, kind of annoying.
And they start the Arman Tsarukyan fight. I think that was like a decision that was controversial, like a year or two ago. So that was, he's had a few.
That's egregious. Yeah. That fight is egregious. If you go back and watch that now, Tsarukyan clearly won that fight. That one, it gets me much more than the Jalen Turner one. Just because that one you could say, all right, it's not technically as much of a robbery, but I don't know what they were legitimately looking at with the one with Tsarukyan. Now, moving down the card, we had Bryce Mitchell put on a clinic against Dan Ige. I'll be honest, that fight is one that I have not had a chance to completely get through. I got a little bit distracted during that. So that's one fight I didn't completely finish. But it looked to me like he basically controlled it and then had some fun afterwards, boys. What was that all about? Somebody tell me what happened there.
Simon, you can go ahead.
It's kind of sweet, actually. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think he had the right intentions, and he kind of was stretching it a little bit. Thought he was trying to do like the good thing, but sometimes you can be a little aggressive with it.
Yeah. It was a little forceful. I felt bad for Ige because he's kind of like not saying yes to saying a prayer after they do the interview.
Yeah, listen, like,
Right.
And I think,
there's
but you
nothing
know what?
wrong with it.
Honestly, yeah, honestly, dude, props to Bisping because he handled that perfectly. Like if that was
Yes.
me in there, I would have botched the whole thing. I would be like, all right, Ige, like go ahead
Bungled
and
it up.
pray, like yeah, or something stupid. But Bisping was he was like strong, he was confident, and he got Ige out of some uncomfortable situations. I'll say that.
Yeah. It's always fun with Bryce because some of it is like it's enjoyable and he's wholesome. And then at the same time, then it'll be like, but the fires are
Yeah,
created by the globalists, which I mean, who knows? I don't know, man.
dude.
I love conspiracies. I don't, I don't claim to know either way, but little tip of the cap to Marina Rodriguez going down the card. She basically put on a car crash. It was really hard to watch. That's actually one of the most brutal beatdowns I've seen in a really long time. And I'm really sorry that had to happen. I think they could have stopped it a little bit sooner, guys. I don't think she was intelligently defending herself or providing offense for a while. And it just seemed like she was getting sliced up by those elbows.
She
Ouch.
she looked like she was like two classes below Rodriguez. Like she looked like she was
Mm-hmm.
that much smaller, that much weaker. Rodriguez just kind of did what she wanted. She threw her down. She just like it was like a kid against a grown person, you know.
I
I think
mean,
at the end of the fight, she almost started crying. Did you hear that? I don't
yeah.
know if I heard it. Yeah, I was like she was like starting to just like
Yeah,
bawl.
yeah, I saw a
So I
video of
don't know
her
that.
crying after. So,
Yeah,
With
so I feel
Rashad.
bad for her.
but yeah,
Yeah.
Rashad. Yeah,
She's a good
It's
person.
hard.
I feel like so it's a tough sport. It's very unforgiving.
It's time. It's time.
Yeah, it's
It
probably
is time.
time.
And she knows that.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I remember when Aldo kind of realized, and he didn't even have that bad of a fight, actually. His last fight was getting kind of controlled wrestling wise with Merab Dalashvili. And you could just see after
Mm.
it wasn't that he looked like sad, like he didn't get dominated, but he just kind of felt like, you know what? I don't know if I have, that much more can I do in this weight class? Like what else can I do? What else can I prove at this age? Like it's just time to roll. Other little things on the card. I know the main reason that we wanted to gather today is about the fight announcements. We're in like Candyland of fight announcements right now with Dana White, and the matchmakers are just turn out bangers. But just real quick on this card, any other standouts that you guys had? I know we had the battle and the Fletcher, all
Got to
those fights.
got to shout out a Charlotte boy, Brian Battle, with the submission. He looked sharp. You know, his kicks in the first round, keeping distance. Fletcher, he never really had an opportunity to do anything. You know, he didn't really get close enough in the pocket. He caught him with a few shots, but nothing really too dangerous. And then Brian took it to the mats and did what he does best, or that's what we thought he does best. And Simon, of course, had the sub. Simon did the prediction. I thought it could go that way, but I didn't want to put any betting on it. But I was excited to see him show his grappling and his jiu-jitsu. So that was a fun fight to see.
yeah. I was a little worried uh, in the first because
He was very
with the
relaxed, like
yeah, he was relaxed,
a little
and
too
sometimes you just
relaxed
never know. They're
almost.
feeling them
Yeah.
out, but when it's a 3 round fight like that, you get a little nervous. There's not that much time, but obviously he turned it around.
Yeah, it seemed like he was getting lulled into a state of kind of contentment. He was kind of feeling him out for a little while. But, he also has this kind of far away look in his eyes. It's kind of like that killer. So I wonder if some of that is that. It reminds me a little bit of Brian Ortega. When I watch Brian battle, I feel like he's got a little bit of an Ortega vibe. Like he's stalking on the feet and like his striking might not be the textbook like cleanest thing you've ever seen, but it's like nasty and it's got bad intentions. So it was really impressive. I love to see a fighter smash half guard like that. He got as soon as he got to half guard, he was in total control. He knew exactly where he wanted to stay and root himself to the hips. We also had Muhammad Usman taking on Jake Collier. That was actually turned out to be a little bit of a banger. These guys were throwing heat. And at the beginning, I was a little concerned that Jake was going to walk him down Diaz style and just start talking to him and just pop, 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 pop. He was really doing well. I thought that was going to continue, but that eye poke,
Yeah.
eh,
Yeah, that eye poke changed things a little bit. We can get that into that with the bets we had. But of course, Charles Jourdain did get the finish as well. Give him credit. Tapping out Ricardo Hamos
oof,
by guillotine. So that's almost his world, and he took it there and finished it. So impressive performance for Jourdain. Let's go over
Incredible.
the best bets. Let me share my screen. Check out this beautiful spreadsheet we made. So
It's beautiful.
I went 1-2. I lost the Jake Collier fight. Rodriguez Gomez is definitely not over 2.5 rounds. Should have been stopped in the first round. So I was down 395 this past weekend. Simon had a one big hit. Went 1-2, hit the battle by sub plus 275. So nice win there. And Alex with a complete turnaround. Goodness, dude, you came with a vengeance this weekend.
He's back even, huh?
Yeah, back to
Exactly.
even.
For the year.
Second place. Second place.
Bottom line,
So
it's all safe choices, though. That's the thing. You got to sometimes you got to just the wide margin is the way to go to protect yourself. You know what I mean?
well, that's what I thought too. And then the over 2.5 for Rodriguez and Gomez just obliterated me. But all
Yeah,
right,
I was
so
shocked Mitchell didn't get the sub though. I was a little disappointed, but sorry, go ahead.
Ike's game. Ike's game.
yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean? He's hard to
he had
deal
good
with.
defense.
All right, Simon, it's not gonna. There it goes. All right.
Now we got to get into some announcements. These are nonstop. They're coming in day by day. Um, I'll kind of go through these piece by piece. I know I sent all these out this morning. We can kind of go by go. I got Davison Figueiredo versus Rob Font at 135 pounds. This is Davison moving up from 125, his native weight class where he was the champion. Went through some classics with Brandon Moreno. Had some great fights with. My goodness, Joseph Benavides. Like you got to understand that guy's a destroyer. He's a marauder, and he's kind of like it's like a Manderley Silva at 125. So I'll be excited to see him moving up to 135. That being said, Rob Font's boxing is crisp. He's got hands for days. Wrestling, not so good. It definitely has some struggles there, like against Jose Aldo, against Corey Sandhagen. So that's an exciting one. Anybody want to take a next one?
Yeah, we can run through a few of these. I'm excited about Ian Gary versus Vicente Luque. Just got announced. You guys know how I feel about the Ian Gary hype train. I'm not the biggest fan of it. So we'll see what happens, man. I think Vicente Luque is going to take it to the ground and do some jujitsu on him. But we'll
Wow.
see. Yeah, this might be the end of the hype train for Ian Gary. He might need his match and humble himself.
Catch a Darce.
Yeah.
All right.
Simon?
So I mean, the one I'm most excited about is probably Kobe versus Leon. We haven't seen the welterweights tops fight in a while. We've seen a lot of Ian Gary, obviously, so he's back in it. But I'm glad to see Kobe come back. It's been a while for him. Obviously, Leon too. I think this is going to be a really good fight. People are a little mad they're giving Kobe a chance, specifically like Bilal Muhammad. But I like the fight. I think it's entertaining, especially when we were expecting kind of a Conor McGregor card to end off the year. We're getting something pretty good. We're getting something entertaining. So I'm really excited about that. Fight wise, I don't know, man. Leon's a killer, dude. So, and Kobe has a lot of talent, and a lot of ground game. So I'm excited to see where this goes. We'll talk about that more when it comes up. But I have to kind of do some film study, see how it goes. But right now, I'm leaning towards Leon. But just for the antics, I'm really excited about that fight.
Yeah. And I think there's a little bit of a storyline going on. And when you mentioned Bilal Muhammad, it's interesting. He better make sure that he keeps barking to stay, present in the weight class, because you can see with the matchmaking that you got Gary versus Luque gets announced, then you got the title fight. You can kind of see the UFC starting to fire up the engines for the Ian Gary thing. It's like I think they want to give him relevancy and put him in a title fight. And I hope they don't hop, skip, and jump over Bilal in the
I wonder
process.
where's Kamaru Usman at?
I know. Where is he at? He's kind of MIA right now, and it was supposed to be the fight with Thompson, but Thompson, that leads us right into our next announcement. We got Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Everyone's like, "Oh, he's ducking everybody. He's not taking the hard fights." And then he takes Shavkat Rakhmonov, who is, in my opinion, outside of Khamzat Chimaev, one of the most surefire, like whew,
Yeah.
he's a future champ to me. He looks freaking nasty everywhere. Grappling, striking is solid. He does leave his head out there a little bit, which that could be a defensive liability against Stephen Wonderboy. But I don't know. It's going to be an interesting fight there. I think that Rachmanov is going to take it, and I think at least Wonderboy is saying, "Hey, if I win this thing, it puts me right back into title contention," which is beautiful. I don't know if anybody wants to take this next one. Please, please. Speaking of, I believe, is it 155 or 170 that this fight's happening? Somebody give me some Ferguson Patty stories, please.
Are you
Oh my
referring
God.
to Patty the Batty?
Dude, I'm shocked this is happening. I was not expecting this at all. I think I'm excited for the fight, but I'm just not really sure if I'm excited for the outcome of I think this is going to be pretty brutal for Ferguson. But hey, Patty showed a lot of weaknesses in his past few fights, so anything can happen. Ferguson's a freak on and off,
Mhm.
so we'll see what happens.
Champ shit only,
Yeah.
man.
I think it's just Tony Ferguson's chance to redeem himself, man. This is his going out fight. I think if he upsets, I don't know, would you call it an upset if he beats Patty Pimblett? Yeah. If he
Yes.
upsets
At this
Patty,
point, yes.
okay.
Well, that's
If
the
he's a big
issue.
upset, I'm putting some dollars down on Tony Ferguson because he's got a legit
Wow.
shot at beating Patty. Patty's not impressive to me. He arguably lost to Josh Gordon, who
Yeah.
is subpar. You know, I'm not saying Tony Ferguson's great, but he's dangerous. He's Tony Ferguson, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, Matt. This could be a fight where Tony Ferguson can win and then walk out the UFC. Of course, the guy's not going to walk away on his own. That's the thing. Like he's such a
Yeah.
like he thinks he's in his prime right now. And man, he's on
He
a
is,
6
man.
or 7 fight losing streak.
He's only a few fights away from a
That is
belt,
his
dude.
prime. That is his prime. Like,
So
that's
I don't
it.
know, man. I
Champ
hope he
shit
wins this
only.
fight. I hope he wins this fight and goes off into the woods, man, and does something else. But we'll see.
I worry that beating he took against Gaethje changed him forever. And it really, just his punch
Looks
resistance, the
like
way
it.
he's fought, not as quick on the feet. Now, Pantera, we got
Pantoja.
Alexander Pantoja, yeah, versus what's his nickname? Is that his nickname? Did I make that up, or is
Pantoja.
that actually his nickname?
I think it's an
Is Pantera his
autocorrect.
nickname?
No, it's
Right.
Panera.
Pantoja.
Well, I'm gonna have to look that up. I might actually redeem
But hey, you
myself on
think
that.
maybe you're thinking
Um,
You hungry?
Pereira, and
right,
Pantoja.
Jaguar, the Jaguar. But we got Royval versus Pantoja versus 125-pound title. I mean, oh my God, that's a banger. Royval is reckless. He's insane. He just comes and slangs and bangs and just no regard for his own physical well-being. If he can put a lid on some of the defense and some of the way that he kind of serves himself up on a platter while he's attacking, he has a decent shot at this fight. This could be incredible. I think this is a rematch as well. They fought while Pantoja was on the way up and kind of getting to the top of the weight class. I don't really have a take on this one yet. Like you were saying, Simon, I think we got to watch a little bit of footage on these guys and see, who's
Mm-hmm.
stacking up and see if it's possible. Right now, I'm leaning towards Pantoja. I just feel like he's got massive experience and his boxing is extremely crisp. It's not as loose and looping. So he's
Mm-hmm.
throwing straight punches while you're coming after him, swinging for the fences. I think that's going to be a problem. But that's great movement in the division. I'd love to see that fight. We're still seeing some guys coming up at 125. For me, no hate, probably because I'm a smaller guy. I just always have loved the weight classes from say 125 to 155, and 170 and up is great. But sometimes the skill drop off is evident. You can kind of see it. Do you ever notice there's like a complete, just overwhelming amount of contenders, 155 and down? It's like you could just look everywhere. Oh, it's Gaethje. It's there's people everywhere. So exciting fight. I hope that they keep that division because I know it's probably not the money division, but it just leads to really fast scrambles and just excellent displays of technique.
Mm-hmm.
Um, not sure if anybody wants to take us home on this one. Oh
Yes.
my God. Light
All right.
heavyweight title.
Yuri Prohashka versus Alex Pereira. Um, this is a title fight.
Mm.
However, this is Jamal Hill's division. This is his division. He's the king of this division, and once he gets back, I think he'll prove it. Um, Playing basketball towards Achilles, so that's a tough injury, man. That's not an easy one to come back from. It's like 10 months maybe to a year. But I think Pereira's going to win this fight. I think Yuri, with the shoulder issues he's had in the past few years, I think Pereira's gonna get this fight.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think Yuri has more tools in his toolbox, but Alex is an animal, dude. So we're gonna have to see. Like I said, back to what I said before, I'm gonna have to like kind of study this a little more. But I can see Alex Pereira taking this, dude. He let's not forget he took down Izzy, and so yeah. I mean, I don't know. I can see him coming out with this one.
I can see this just being maybe one of the most epic fights that will ever see in this sport. Honestly, I have really high hopes for this. Both of these guys, dude, there's something different about both of these characters. I really do believe that. When I watch the way Alex fights, he's fighting for his life out there, dude, and he's really intense. And Yuri is the same thing. You watch him against Glover Teixeira. That's one of my all-time favorite fights, man. Anybody who hadn't seen that, go back and watch them for the title. It was knockdown, drag out, which interesting leads me to the storyline. Glover is obviously Alex Pereira's, constant coach and mentor and ground game mentor. He basically lives over there. He's always training in Connecticut, right there with Glover. So Glover has that firsthand experience, in 5 rounds with Yuri. We'll see if maybe he can point out something, from there. And he's doing some really good work as a coach as he's starting to wind down his career.
Mm-hmm.
It's exciting, man. That's an exciting fight. Speaking of Jamal Hill, I actually do feel for that dude. Simon, you shared some of his like content that he makes on his own with
Hmm.
me, and I was actually really impressed, man. He's a really measured dude. He's smart. His take on the scene of MMA in general is excellent. He's got his head on a swivel. And I do feel like he kind of got a little passed up here, but then again, I know we can't hold up a division. I'm sure that, once he was injured, he was willing to concede that. But yeah, we'll see. It's interesting. I think it's on the same card as Stipe versus John Jones. And,
Mm.
UFC, and I just had this thought in my mind, what if Alex Pereira wins violent KO and then John wins violent KO? And Alex Pereira, we move up to heavyweight, 3 division world champion against John Jones. They would love to make that fight. They would just get a massive hard on for that fight. Or maybe it's just me. I don't know. Could be. Could be
Oh
observer
man.
bias.
I could see it happen. I'm not doubting it. I think he's got to win. I think he's got to win. He's got to go through a crazy man first of Yuri. So
Yeah.
I think after that we could talk more. But
After the merger, bring Brock Lesnar in. Let's go.
Yeah, we got some big fights coming up later this year. Like you said, John Jones, Miocic, some big fights announced recently. So I'm excited. I thought McGregor would come back, but these fights will do just fine for me as a fan. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching, and we have an off week next week. So we'll be back in about a week and a half, and get ready for the next UFC fight night. Appreciate it, guys.